and beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself.
Shalom, children. Today we are going to be taking a deeper look at this week's Torah portion to see where it speaks of Yeshua Ha'Mashiach. We are in the book of Bamidbar. The parashah this week is called Pinchas, which is the name of an Israelite who showed great zeal for Elohim. Now let's hear a summary of the parashat. Pinchas, the grandson of Aharon, is rewarded for his act of zeal when he kills Zimri, a prince of Simeon, and Cosbi, a princess of Midian, after everyone sees Zimri's display of disobedience towards Yahweh. Adonai grants Pinchas a covenant of peace and an everlasting priesthood. A new census is taken of the people, which counts over 6,000 men aged between 20 and 60, men capable of going to war. Moshe is instructed on how the land is to be divided through taking lots from amongst the tribes and families of Israel. The 5 daughters of Zelophehad ask Moshe for them to be granted the portion of land belonging to their father, as he had died without sons. Adonai accepts their claim and includes it within the laws of inheritance. Moshe empowers Yehoshua by laying hands upon him and pronouncing a blessing. This gives Yehoshua a portion of his authority and honor, officially ordaining him as the successor who will lead the people into the promised land. The parashah concludes with details of the daily offerings, as well as additional offerings which are to be brought on Shabbat, Rosh Chodesh, and the festivals of Pesach, Shavuot, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and Shemini Atzeret. Yeshua said, "If you believed Moshe, you would believe me, because he wrote about me." So let's dig a bit deeper to see if we can find Yeshua in the scriptures. Have you ever seen a great crowd gathered at a sporting event and heard them cheer their team on? They certainly show great zeal for the game. Zeal means showing great energy or enthusiasm for something. Zeal in Hebrew is kinah and can also mean jealous, but not in the way we think of being jealous. Rather, it implies protection over something, rather like a bird hovering over her chicks. Indeed, kinah is used to describe the character of Elohim. We read in Shemot, "Be careful not to make a treaty with those who live in the land where you are going, or they will be a snare amongst you. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones. Do not worship any other god, for Adonai, whose name is Kinah, is a jealous El." When the people did the very thing Elohim had told them not to do, and they began to worship the false god Baal Peor, a terrible plague broke out amongst the camp as a result. Adonai had then instructed Moshe to deal with the men who were leading the people away from Yahweh. When Zimri paraded around for all to see his idolatry, Pinchas knew the man had to be stopped before he led Israel further into wickedness. In his great zeal for Adonai, he took a sword and killed Zimri and the pagan woman who was with him. Now you may wonder, isn't killing another person breaking the commandments too? Well, certainly we do not have the freedom to take away the life of another. However, Pinchas was removing from the people someone whom Yahweh had previously warned about, telling Moshe, "Anyone who sacrifices to any god other than Adonai must be destroyed." We can know that there was no guilt brought upon Pinchas for the death of Zimri, because the plague which had broken out stopped. The camp had gone from chaos to peace. Indeed, Adonai had then pronounced, "Behold, I give to Pinchas my covenant of peace," even the covenant of an everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous for his El and made an atonement for the children of Israel. The covenant of an everlasting priesthood reminds me of what the author of Hebrews wrote when speaking about the priesthood from that time. He said, "There were many priests because they were prevented by death from continuing. But Yeshua, he continues forever and has an unchangeable priesthood." Having zeal is considered a positive attribute according to the scriptures. Yeshua instructed Yochanan to write to the assembly of the Laodiceans, telling them, "As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Therefore be zealous and repent." And just as Pinchas showed great enthusiasm, an incident is recorded for us from the life of Yeshua, when he too took action with Kinah. We read from the account of Yochanan. Now Yeshua went up to Jerusalem, and he found in the temple those who sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the money changers doing business. When he had made a whip of cords, he drove them all out of the temple, with the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money and overturned the tables. And he said to those who sold doves, "Take these things away, do not make my Father's house a house of merchandise." Then his disciples remembered that it was written, "Kinah for your house has eaten me up." Have you ever sat by a beautiful lake when all you could hear was the wind in the trees and birdsong? It is very relaxing and very peaceful. Peace in Hebrew is shalom, but it means much more than being quiet and still. Whilst the calm we feel at the lakeside is wonderful, we can also feel shalom when going through great trouble. But this is not something we can do in our own strength. We need to call upon Yahweh to give us his shalom. Many people want to have peace in their lives, but sadly they do not know when we walk in a path other than the way and do not follow the instructions found in the Torah, we will have unrest inside of us. In our parashah today, there was chaos because of the idolatry within the camp. It was Pinchas who restored the peace. Because of this, Adonai said, "Behold, I give to him my covenant of peace." What a wonderful blessing for Pinchas to receive. The prophet Jeremiah would later be given the same wonderful news, For Adonai told him, I know the plans I have for you. They are plans of shalom and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. Rabbi Shaul explained further when he wrote, Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and thanksgiving, let your requests be known to Yahweh. And the peace of Adonai, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Yeshua Ha'Mashiach. David Hamelech tells us, Yahweh gives strength to his people. Adonai blesses his people with shalom. And just as the word of Elohim was made flesh and dwelt amongst us as Ben Elohim, so too peace was given to mankind. The prophet Isaiah wrote of the coming Messiah, saying, Unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Shalom. As we come to the end of the parashah, we learn of Adonai telling Moshe, Go up into the mountain Abarim, and see the land which I have given to the children of Israel. And when you have seen it, you also shall be gathered to your people, as Aharon your brother was gathered. Moshe had then asked of Elohim, Set a man over the congregation who may go out before them and lead them in, so that the congregation of Adonai may not be like sheep which have no shepherd. Yehoshua was the man chosen to be that shepherd. The picture is thus created. Moshe, who brings us the Torah, leading the people to the promised land, and Yehoshua the shepherd, who leads the people into the promised land. What is interesting, the name Yehoshua is the long version of the name Yeshua. So from all of this we can conclude, following the Torah and walking in the way takes us to the promised land. But it is only through Yeshua we can enter in. Well, children, that is the end of our study for today. So we will see you next time, when we search the scriptures together. Shalom.
Arise, O young, and let your enemies be scattered. Let them flee in 7 ways. At the sound of your name, your presence like a flame. Let it try.